Dis donderdag, Têkkel Thursday, and we're back again. Good evening to everyone, Alberic, and good evening to you.
Police never that.
After it's a season take that jy die Kersfees beopen.
It's festive season, so we have to cheer up our little studio. So yeah, guys, welcome to another episode of Têkkel Thursday. How's it, Annie? How are you doing?
I'm lekker, and just chuffed about last week's episode with the legendary Pieter de Villiers, former Springbok coach. We had him on the show, and we got a few good reviews, and I think Pieter de Villiers shared a few very, very good messages with us. Something that we can take home and learn from, and it was just an honor and a privilege to have him on the show as well.
No, it was, and just to add to that, the fact that there was a lot of people that, Pieter Villiers is such a universal character. It wasn't only rugby people that were watching. There were so many people that just, loved the man for who he was and what he had to say. So it was interesting to see the comments and lots of broad variety of viewers that watched the show. So yeah, it was fantastic.
Ja, nee, verseker. En tonight we're going to obviously pass the oval ball and catch the round ball, because we're talking to a cricket expert on our show tonight. But obviously before we get there was also some of your viewers that said, "Julle praat en niks van die Premier League gaan nie." And 2 weeks ago we started looking at the English Premier League. It's obviously huge in South Africa, a big following of the English Premier League, and obviously we have some midweek action. It's currently underway. The midweek action started on, I think it's Tuesday or Monday already, on Tuesday. And tonight's fixtures, you would see, there you have it. It's Tottenham playing Brentford, and Tottenham obviously with a point to prove. And as die manne wil laat aand opsit, 10 o'clock South African time, a big game. Manchester United, with a new coach in charge, will take on informed Arsenal, and a big point to prove for Man United, having handed over some of the coaching duties to a new German coach, and we are obviously very excited to see how that pans out.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see, exactly how that pans out. And further, if you're watching, your span speel vanaand, en ons hoop maar hulle kan iets doen. So it's going to be interesting to see how they can come up, especially the fact that Ole just left a couple of weeks ago, and we'll see what they're going to be showing tonight.
Ja, nee, verseker. Ons is nie doemprofete nie, maar daar het julle ook dan die scores. Ons hoop natuurlik dat die Westerspan in vanaand se fixtures wen. Die groot fixture wat ons na gekyk het was natuurlik Liverpool teen Everton in die Merseyside derby. Hierdie wedstryd 4-1 vir Liverpool. Dit was glad nie so eensydig soos wat die telkaart lyk nie. Op 'n tyd het gelyk of Everton businessman, maar die sneltrein van Liverpool, ongelukkig in die tweede helfte, was dit eenvoudig te goed geweest. Liverpool wat daarso vir Everton 4-1 wen. En dan surprisingly enough, Leeds ek sê dit die result gewees, Leeds wat vir Crystal Palace met 1-0 klop, en dit natuurlik 'n groot verrassing, want Leeds is nie 'n span wat werklik waar bekend is om clean sheets te hê nie. So Leeds wat ook dan probeer om weer hulle seisoen op die ek wil sê on the road te kry, en daar het jy die res van die results daar, 1-1 West Ham teen Brighton, late goal daar vir Brighton, en dan ook het Aston Villa hard probeer, maar Pep Guardiola se mense die eenvoudig te sterk.
Yeah, no, I mean, Manchester City and Liverpool, those teams just keep on rolling, the juggernaut just keeps moving. And yeah, again, Chelsea, also, showing their bit as well. It's going to be very interesting to see how they can keep the momentum throughout the season. It is a marathon after all.
Ja, nee, verseker, so as die English Premier League supporters, en die van julle wat vanaand 'n bietjie later gaan opsit, gesels 'n bietjie saam met ons, sê vir ons wat julle dink die result is tussen vanaand se Arsenal Man United derby. Hein Pieters het ingeskakel, goeienaand. Natuurlik 'n wat fantastiese gasspreker, wat hy ook sê, hy natuurlik ook 'n kranige cricketspeler in sy dae, en hy het so wat dag sommer op 'n ronde FM sommer lieflik geklink. Ek sien daar was 'n interview wat hy 'n bietjie oor sy storie gesels het, maar meer oor dit later in die episode. Maar soos hy sê, het ons 'n cricket expert, 'n man hier van wat nou natuurlik tuis gaan hier in die wonderlike Swartland area, maar hy het ook sy roots daar in die Bellville, Durbanville area, bekend nou as een van die heel beste ICC cricket umpires currently op die cricket circuit en ou wat al 2 keer deur die ICC genomineer is as die umpire van die jaar. Kom ons welkom vanaand op die Têkkel Talk Show. Een van my gunstelinge, Marais Erasmus. Marais, goeienaand en welkom by die Têkkel Talk Show. Is lekker om vir jou hier op die Têkkel Talk Show te hê.
Goeienaand manne, ja, groot voorreg om 'n bietjie met julle cricket te gesels.
Ja, lekker. Daar 'n bekende gesig natuurlik, baie van ons wat natuurlik Marais se gesig sien daarso wanneer hulle natuurlik die tegnologie gebruik en so inzoom op sy gesig om die regte of die verkeerde besluit te bevestig daar op ons skerms. Maar voor ons by die cricket gesels kom, Marais, ek het vlugtig aangeraak oor jou agtergrond, waarvan jy kom, waar jy groot geraak het, waar jy skool gegaan. Vertel vir ons 'n bietjie meer daar, waar was jy van kindsbeen af?
Ja, ek is in George in die Suid-Kaap gebore, maar baie jonger ouderdom met ons Kaap toe getrek. Ja, in Bellville groot geword. Was daar by die Hoërskool D van Land gematrikuleer en toe het ek onderwys gaan swat na my diensplig. Eers in die Parel en toe later op by Universiteit van Stellenbosch klaargemaak. Ja, so 17 jaar lank skool gehou. Ja, en terwyl ek skool gehou het, het ek vir Boland gespeel en toe later begin skeieregter wees. En so in 2000 het ek begin met klapkriket. Ja, so dis ja, groot word daar was maar in Bellville.
Awesome.
Wow.
En die feit dat jy, as ek vroeger gepraat, you mentioned the fact that you were in Bellville. You played some domestic cricket as well. Was that in Western Province or what province was it for?
Yeah, at school it was obviously Western Province, but I never made the Western Province school sides. And then when I went to Paarl Teachers College in Paarl, I started playing for Boland under 23, and then in 1998 I was picked for Boland and played 9 seasons for them. Was also captain when our captain John Cummins got injured in a test match, and we played in the Benson and Hedges one-day final. Semi-final that year and lost to Eastern Province. Yeah, so those were good days, and it was probably very good in preparation for my real sporting life, which turned out to be umpiring. Wow. At international level, the elite panel guys, most of them have played at least first-class cricket, and quite a few of them have actually played international cricket. So yeah, it doesn't mean that if you didn't play that you can't be a very good umpire. But just funny enough, I think currently 10 of the 11 guys played first-class cricket. So yeah, it does help you to be a very good umpire if you have a very, very strong cricket background.
Background, yeah. Marais, you touched on you're getting to your calling eventually, which is obviously we know you now as one of the very best umpires in the world. But post cricket, you went into teaching, but there was also other avenues like coaching that you could consider, or maybe even a career in sport administration with your background. How did you get into umpiring? It's let's call it a very odd decision, but do you recall that moment where you realized this is what I wanted to do?
I think initially I did some coaching courses. I have a level 2 or 3. I'm not quite sure. But at the time, because I was still involved in teaching, I realized that umpiring is probably going to be a better avenue for me, because initially when you do club cricket, it's obviously financially not rewarding at all. It's more of a calling. But you need to go through that phase, and I need to have a proper income in teaching at the stage. If I was trying to aspire to be a coach, it would have been a more difficult road. But initially, as an umpire, I could train by myself. I could go to nets in the week if I needed. And over weekends, I was available to do club cricket. And luckily for me, Cricket South Africa put me on a fast-track system. The moment I heard that as a former player, I'm now umpiring. And within 3 years, I was doing provincial cricket. And within 6 years, I was doing international cricket. So they gave me that opportunity. I obviously had to take it because there were others who also got that opportunity and then didn't take those chances given to them. So I was very fortunate in that sense. But I think teaching and umpiring correlates very well. There's certain skills that you have to do to be successful in both.
Wow. And just with that said, I mean, your first professional game, can you remember that moment what it felt like, what emotions went through you at that moment.
Yeah, that particular game actually happened during the 2003 Cricket World Cup. The Cricket South Africa wanted to keep the fringe players active because obviously there was 15 guys participating in the World Cup, and they picked two teams called the South African A side playing the rest of South Africa in a 4-day game in Pretoria. And of the 22 guys that played in that match, 21 actually played in national cricket, some already by then, but others afterwards. And one of them actually played for Scotland. He's unfortunately passed away, a guy called Kondelanga, who played for Boland and also the Free State. Yeah, so that was my very first professional game, a 4-day game, and with lots of future stars playing in that team. Jacques Rodolphe, Martin van Jaarsveld, I remember playing in that game.
Wow.
But obviously sport and any type of profession needs you to be very sharp in a good condition. I don't expect a umpire to run 5 minutes a kilometer, but surely there are many ways that you need to stay sharp. You need to work on certain things. I recall, you showing up at our cricket nets, just standing there and just staying sharp. And I asked you, what are you doing? You said, no, I just want to see when you are out LBW and not. And that is the things that you did. Any rituals now that you, apart from staying fit, is it something that, a few exercises on the eyes that we don't know? Because cricket umpires, they have, it's a very tiring job having to stand there for so many hours.
Yeah. Now, there's many things that we do. Obviously, I'm a little older now, so I do a bit of mountain biking and I play a lot of golf, so that's my exercise. But when I was younger and umpiring, I used to still run a few kilometers. Unfortunately, Achilles and all those issues, last 10 years I'm doing more fitness work with cycling. But we do go to nets, as you rightly say. We also have a library from the ICC of videos and former things that you can go and watch. There's things like iGym that we've tried a few years ago, which is an eye exercise. So all those those kind of things we do, and we are well sourced from ICC level, supporting us. And then our normal rituals leading into a game is we will always go to nets and make sure that we get to a practice of either team. It's also sometimes we haven't had an opportunity to see new players from Pakistan or India or whatever, because we haven't done those domestic games, obviously. And then you can see a few things, how a batsman maybe moves, does a leggy actually have a good googly to bowl. So those are all part of our preparation. We have meetings with the teams leading into these games. We ourselves have a meeting and where we identify players, and also the unruly ones with the history, so we know who to look out for. We share information. If I maybe do the first 2 tests and the next guy's coming in for the 3rd and 4th test, and we share information with them. So yeah, we are well sourced and well prepared for every international game.
Wow. And just listening to you, sorry, I was just going to say, just listening to you, I mean, the amount of preparation that goes, I mean, with all due respect, I mean, I thought as the matter was pushing up as an umpire, but you mentioned iGym, you mentioned, doing video monitoring of video, watching videos of players.
Analysis.
Analysis, sorry, that's the word. That's some intense kind of preparation that takes place. Not just about seeing on the day our guy bowls. So yeah, sorry, you were going to say something.
But I think the game deserve that. They prepare. Their careers are on the line.
Yeah.
And I think they respect us more if they see we also put in the effort. They see us at the practices. They see us at the gyms. They see us walking around, doing training or cycling or whatever the case might be. Then they do have more respect for that we're also putting in the effort.
Wow.
Maar een besluit of een verkeerde besluit of selfs 'n regte besluit, in sommige gevalle sê die ouens dit was 'n regte besluit. Dit kos spanne trofee, kampioenskappe. Dit kan sommige tye die verskil wees tussen 'n speler wat 'n lang loopbaan het en 'n speler wat 'n korte loopbaan het, wanneer hy, ek wil amper sê, die short string of the stroke kry. Die presse op 'n Marais Erasmus, die presse op 'n internasionale cricket umpire. Hoe verwerk jy dit? Jy weet, eet jy 'n spesifieke dis in die aand voordat jy op die veld stap of hoe hanteer jy daai druk wat met jou werk gepaard gaan?
As jy na my rond wangetjies kyk, het ek dalk te veel van die dis geëet, maar ek is 'n ou wat druk redelik goed hanteer, maar ek dink 'n mens moet 'n uitkyk hê van een besluit gaan 'n loopbaan veroorsaak. En ja, daar gaan verkeerde besluite wees en sekere spelers gaan beïnvloed word, maar as jy regtig goed genoeg is, dan sal jy deur daai stelsel kom. Ek herinner spelers gereeld dat ja, ons skeieregters maak wel dalk 1 of 2 foute op die veld, maar ons blameer nie hulle as hulle half-volleys bal of wides bal of no-balls bal of misvang of cross the line slaan nie. Dit is as ons so 'n houding gaan hê, weet, dan gaan ons heeltyd dit vir tat. Dis soos die backline wat sê die voorspelers het vrot gespeel en vice versa. So ek dink jy dis 'n debat wat ons ooit met iemand hê nie. As 'n speler so 'n houding het, dan ignoreer ons hom. Ons, soos ek vroeër gesê het, ons sit die effort in. Ons weet hulle sit die effort in. Ja, maar ons is almal mense en dan gaan foute wees. Maar as jy nou vat die laaste 2020 Wêreldbeker wat nou pas in UAE afgespeel is.
Ja.
Tot en met die semifinaal was die umpires correct decision percentage vir die 16 umpires was 94.22.
Wow.
En in die semis en die finaal was daar geen foute gewees nie.
Wow.
So dit is baie hoog. Nou dit is een aspek van umpiring, is correct decisions. Daar's obviously baie belangrike goed soos man management, want jy werk met ouens wat weet dit is 'n partykeer is 'n war zone out there. Die ouens speel vir hulle lande, hulle is passievol en dan is goeie match management baie belangrik. So ek dink die groot skeieregters onderskei hulle met goeie match management, goeie kommunikasie en dan obviously moet hy baie hoë correct decision percentage hê, maar hy hoef nie die beste noodwendig te wees nie om die beste skeieregter te wees. Dis 'n kombinasie van al daai goeders.
Nee,
Wow.
beseker.
And Marais, you mentioned earlier about the fact that the teaching does help in the fact that you are umpire, using some of that principles. You played with some big stars in the game. Either guys with big attitudes, and you mentioned earlier before we started, guys with nicer attitudes. The big guys that you played with. Is there any moment that you thought, wow, this guy is just too much on the field, whether it's a big name player? How did you handle those situations, and what stood out for you?
I think at the time he's just a teammate, and some teammates annoy you and some you like more, and you get on with. There were some unique characters that played in my side. The guy that I really enjoyed because he was so much different to me was a guy called Kenny Jackson. And Kenny Jackson, I remember once the ball went up in the air, and it's normal that the wicketkeeper should take those catches, and he pushed the wicketkeeper out the way and he took the catch. But that, you would frown upon that cricket action, but it just shows how much confidence he had in his own ability. He was sure that he will take the catch. So those type of characters. But I played with the Roger Telemarcuses of the world, Henry Williams, John Cummins, Terence Lazard, Claude Henderson. Myself and Claude, we were roommates for 9 years, because initially when he came into our team, he was a schoolboy and I was an aspirant teacher, and they said, no, you look after the schoolboy, you are a teacher. And we stayed roommates for 7 years, and obviously he went on to play for South Africa. But those days are special. But at the time, I didn't see anybody as a big name player, and I don't now. You, as an umpire, you shouldn't think, this is Virat Kohli or this is AB de Villiers. You just see pads, you see the ball, and if it's out in your opinion, then you give them out.
And I was going to come to the next point. Being on the field, and you have to have a certain level of discipline. You have to kind of make sure that you're controlling the game as the umpire. Those players that you are involved with on the pitch on a day, how do you manage it? You talk to them before that, so that there's a kind of there's a level of understanding where you're at, so that the players know what to expect from you as an umpire.
Yeah, in those meetings we have pre-matches. We will tell the captains our expectations of them, and luckily the cricket law book is such that the captain is in charge, and if someone doesn't adhere to it, we can also charge him. And there's an example of me talking to Stuart Broad when he was captain of England. This happened in the West Indies, and there were issues with the ball. So you say to him, Stuart, you are responsible. In the end, if we can't find who's messing with the ball, you will be charged. And I tell you what, I had fantastic reaction once from Gilchrist in the IPL because his team were messing with the ball, and I think he knew who it was. And the next game, and we had our suspicion who it was, and the next game that guy wasn't playing. Because when the moment we threatened him that he was going to be sanctioned, it was sorted. But generally, cricketers, if I compare it with other teams, they are very respectful towards umpires, and the issues we have is few and far between. I did have an interesting incident in 2011 with an Indian bowler pressing his chest, into mine, thinking he's going to pump up this guy from the Swartland, but he made a huge mistake. Yeah.
Marais, obviously you mentioned earlier that you share best practices with other umpires. You share, you would alert the other umpires about problem. Let's call them problem players. Was there any one player or two players when you went into a game that you thought this guy is probably a very, very good captain, or he gets under your skin, he chats with you a little bit more than the normal? Is there one guy or two of those guys that you would point out and say, this was the guy I would really have to handle with gloves as a player throughout your career?
Yeah, I better not mention too many names, but there's a guy from Australia. He's an opening batter, and he's not liked in South Africa. But yeah, he's one of those guys. But I think if you are firm and you are consistent and how you deal with them, then they understand the boundaries. Jimmy Anderson, one of the best bowlers in the world, but a difficult emotional guy. So you have to understand that and handle him, not treat him any differently, but understand that you're out to work hard today because he's going to challenge you decision-wise, because he's going to hit the pads and get people in trouble. But also from an emotional point of view, you need to manage him because he will potentially very easily lose it. But those are the challenges, and that's what makes a difference between average umpire and a better umpire. And I do think that my strength is probably match management more so than decision making. I'm not the worst decision maker.
Yeah, great.
And touching on that, I mean, your career, your length of your career has obviously led you to awards. You won ICC Umpire of the Year, and I mean that obviously holds a lot of weighting. And when we did our research before the show, we looked at the list of the Alindas and all other guys that went, that obviously got the award before. I'm sure that must, rate very highly from a personal point of view.
It does, because as you mentioned earlier, I won it in 2016 and 2017.
Yeah.
2013, I was on a 1 year contract. Every year, 1 year contract. So I felt really under pressure. And then the ICC introduced full-time coaches, and I was lucky enough to work with a guy from England, Dennis Burns, and he was just the right guy at the right time for me, because I had other coaches before that were, not effective. Coaching umpires is a very, very difficult job because you have to be a psychologist and in many ways. So at the time, Dennis helped me gain my confidence again after some one or two tough series. And 3 years later, I managed to be Umpire of the Year. I think it's very similar to a batter hitting form, and you get that confidence and you're on a roll and off you go. Obviously, to win an award and which is measured over a whole year of decision making and the other aspects of umpiring, you need a little bit of luck, but so does a batsman, so does a bowler. So at this stage, I feel confident again that I'm in that groove. Initially with COVID and I'm not working a lot, I went to the World T20 tournament. I wouldn't say lacking confidence, but just didn't feel in the groove. But luckily I had some good preparation games, and then early on I had India-Pakistan game, and obviously those are very big, and I made some really good decisions in that. And then I realized, hey, I'm back on the horse, and off we go. And yeah, I was the only umpire who didn't make a mistake in that World T20, which I'm very proud of.
Wow, that's great. Marais, obviously, you've mentioned it's COVID now and it's calmed down, but your work takes you across the world, many times away for long series. How do you strike the balance between Marais Erasmus being the family man and Marais Erasmus the umpire? It's surely a very, very difficult job.
Yeah, no, it was a challenge. Obviously, now with COVID, I've been to Dubai for nearly 2 months, and that was the first time, apart from going to Zimbabwe twice in April and July this year, that we traveled. So, but before that, pre-COVID, I was away 7 months of the year. You missed out on some family things and things that your kids did. But there's also so many other benefits. My family's been able to travel to India, to Australia. See parts of Europe when we have cricket in the UK. It's so easy to go to Germany or France or Switzerland or whatever the case might be. So those are great privileges, and I think my two boys were very fortunate to do a lot of travel with myself and Adele. So yeah, we were very lucky in that sense. But it's not always been easy, and obviously Adele being home, she had to be sometimes mother and father, and up to 2012 she was still teaching as well. Which made it a real challenge, but luckily we got through it, and now they are big men. They're nearly 25, so yeah, they're off on their own worlds.
So
Great.
Wow.
Right.
And I think we just wanted to comment. We just run through one or two comments that came through. One or two guys also wanting you to comment on those weekends. In fact, it's Hein again. Hein wants to know, Marais, wie denk jy gaan die Swartland Old Boys 6-a-side wen Saterdag? Are you going to call it?
Well, I hope for Swartland's sake they keep the trophy in Malmesbury.
Okay. There you have it. And then I think it's Clayton Smith sê, naat meneer Marais, daarom lekker my gat geslaan op laerskool Swartland.
Nou, weet jy of meneer Marais vir Clayton onthou nie. En dan sit Tian Petersen, een paar hoë weg van Mr. Marais. Hy is nou, toe Mr. Marais Erasmus nog onderwyser was daai tyd op skool. Hierdie manne wat natuurlik vir Mr. Erasmus onthou as die onderwyser, maar vanaand natuurlik is hy nou daai ikoon in Swartland wat vir ons verteenwoordig daar op die cricketvelde van die wêreld. Mr. Erasmus, enige name wat 'n klokkie lê daar, Tian en Clayton, onthou Mr. Erasmus nog vir hulle? Het is Marais verloor, is hy daar? Maar daar is hy terug. So ek dink ja, Barry, kan jy my hoor?
Ja, ek kan jou hoor, ja.
Ek dink Marais se syne is net so 'n bietjie swak daar op die oomblik op sy kant. Maar ja, kyk, is net wonderlik om te hoor ook van sy voormalige leerders wat intune, Tian Petersen en Clayton Smith, hulle onthou hom nog toe hy onderwyser was baie jare terug. Maar ek dink ons het maar van Marais daar vir 'n tydjie verloor. Ons hoop om binnekort weer op te kry. Maar net goeie insigte om weer te hoor die harde werk wat ingaan in Elberg om 'n cricket umpire te wees. Dis nie net van pak my sak en dan gaan ek gou vlugtig veld toe die ou is. Hy moet homself voorberei. Hy het gepraat nou hierso van hy het 'n coach gehad, nee, op 'n tyd 'n coach gehad wat hom getrain het. Dit is nie goed wat ons weet as cricket liefhebbers nie.
Okay, ek is terug.
Ja. Ek weet nie of Marais nog gesien het, daar was twee voormalige leerders, Tian Petersen en Clayton Smith, wat sê hulle
die manne sê ek het hulle pak gegee. Ek kan dit glad nie onthou nie. Hulle was so soet. Ek sal dit nooit vergeet. Lekker om die ou leerders ook aanlyn te hê en ons sê dan vir hulle ook dat hulle aangeskakel het om na hierdie interview te luister. Ek sien daar is baie comments. Ons sal nie almal kan wys nie, maar as daar vrae is wat julle vir Marais wil vra, ons staan alweer aan die einde se kant toe. Laat hy comments deurkom. En ons is seker Marais is meer as gewillig om julle cricketvrae te beantwoord terwyl ons natuurlik hierdie interview met hom lê. Marais, kom ons raak gou kom ons raak gou aan tegnologie. Technology in die cricket en die gebruik van tegnologie in die game. Is dit iets wat jy van hou? Is dit iets wat jou geweldig baie help?
Is daar een aspek wat jy sê, miskien hou ek minder van, jy weet, jy moet nou baie versigtig antwoord, maar jy weet, daar's 'n klomp technology, hulle het nou Hawkeye en hulle het verskeie maniere om te wys wanneer jy 'n fout maak of wanneer jy regte beslissing gemaak het. Like jy dit?
Ja, ek hou van die tegnologie. Die tegnologie, die DRS-stelsel het so begin 2008, so was so saam met my loopbaan. Ons was van die nuwe generasie manne wat gewoond geraak het daaraan. En ek dink wat dit gedoen het in die afgelope 14 jaar amper, is dat dit eerstens gewys hoe moeilik dit is om 'n skeieregter te wees, want na 5, 6, 7 replays en al die tegnologie, dan kan ons baie keer nog steeds nie weet wat is die waarheid nie. So ek dink daar's baie meer respek en ek dink daar's baie van die kommentators wat dit so sien en dit so verduidelik en dit sit dinge daar 'n bietjie meer in konteks. Maar daar's niks van die tegnologie wat my pla nie. Ek dink net die kyker moet net besef dat die tegnologie is dalk beter as die mens, maar dit is nie 100% nie. Nou en dan mag Hawkeye dalk iets dalk nou nie 100% akkuraat hê nie. Partykeer werk Ultra Edge nie, die batterytjies is pap of wat ook al die geval mag wees, maar oor die algemeen het dit nuwe theater gebring in cricket. Daar's baie mense wat hulle wil net die reviews kyk. En die emosie daarvan verstaan, hoe hanteer 'n skeieregter dit as hy sy beslissing moet verander, wat ook heeltemal 'n ander debat is en iets waarna ons moet gewoond raak. Ons spot altyd en sê, if you get one of the decisions wrong, you just park it. En toe sê een van my kollegas, but my car park is quite full. So daar's nie nog plek vir nog decisions nie. Ons wil nie te veel van die goed park nie. So as daar een of twee is wat jy verkeerd kry, dan is dit nou maar so, want jy kan nie die tegnologie noodwendig klop nie. Maar ja, ek dink die bottom line is die tegnologie wys hoe moeilik is die werk wat ons doen.
And I think just to add to that, I think the fact that I'm sure it must be added pressure for you as an umpire.
Not. Where I get frustrated is if teams use up their reviews willy-nilly. And they use it for a tactical reason because there's a big shot on AB de Villiers, but they all know that there's a inside edge, but they still do it. And you know that Australia nearly matched up the Ashes in the previous time and they did lose that test match where Ben Stokes played so well, but they shouldn't have lost it because they should have had a review for that decision, but they just threw it away. That frustrates me. If a game is happening and both teams have reviews left, there's sort of a safety net, then I'm not worried. We will get the right decision because I'm going to try my best and I'm going to give it up, and I obviously have pride in my performance and want to go through this test match with making as little decisions or errors as possible. But if technology can help me when I do get it wrong, then it's great for the game.
Great. Ons gaan definitief nog later weer van julle comments wys. As daar enige vrae is wat deurkom vir Marais, wees asseblief welkom om deur te gaan. Ons staan amper einde se kant toe. Marais, ek dink net die laaste vraag vir ons afsluit. As jy terugdink en reflekteer op jou loopbaan as kom ek sê as 'n umpire, die een oomblik of kom ek sê hy wedstryd of hy vertoning wat jy kan onthou van 'n bowler, van 'n batsman, waar jy vir jouself gesê het, wow, dit was 'n belewenis om hierdie een te umpire. Is daar een van die vertonings waar jy nou kan dink en sê, dit was nou 'n great vertoning van 'n speler en ek was bevoorreg om die skeieregter te wees?
Ja, daar was baie, jy moet verstaan, ek was al in as jy TV-skeieregter by sit, was ek al in 350 internasionale games betrokke en dan was nog baie domestic games. Maar daar is 'n domestic game wat ek onthou, waar Dale Steyn, die jong man was 21-20, het net begin vir Suid-Afrika speel en het hy vir Noord-Transvaal gespeel teen die Eagles in Bloem. En hy het 8 paaltjies van my kant af gevat, ek dink 8 vir 40 of zoiets. En dit was 145 km swinging en hy teen goeie Boeta Dippenaar, Jacques Rudolph, daai tipe kolwers het hy gebal en dit was klas vertoning. Maar ja, internasionale cricket, ek het vroeër genoem van bowlers soos Jimmy Anderson, Mitchell Johnson en hy een Ashes wat so vinnige bal het dat dit scary was. En ek dink baie van die Engelse het gehoop dat hulle kan huis toe gaan eerder as om teen hom te speel. So ja, dit was dit was besonders geweest. En wat interessant was, net voor daai reeks het hy gesukkel en hy kon nie die bal swaai nie. En die volgende oomblik hier begin hy weer sy normale swaai kry en dit wys jou nou net dat vir 'n skeieregter, vir 'n speler, dit is net 'n moment en dinge, weet, dis val in plek en dan loop die ding weer mooi. En dis maar sport. Ek dink baie spelers en skeieregters raak frustreerd as dinge nie na hulle kant toe gaan nie, maar partykeer moet jy maar net 'n bietjie vasbyt en jy moet maar deur daai moeilike tye gaan om die lekker tye weer te waardeer.
And I need to review one or two comments coming through. Sorry, my technology dropped on my side. Nou, Lien, wat inskakel? Nou ingeskakel het. Hoogtepunt in jou loopbaan?
Ja, ek ken van Lien. Ek dink World Cup final, die eerste Suid-Afrikaner wat 'n World Cup final kon staan, dit was 'n groot hoogtepunt. Wat was ook baie lekker dat my vrou en beide kinders was op Lords daai dag. 2012 het ek my eerste toets op Lords gestaan. My pa was die hele week daar. Weet hy kon daai oomblik deel en hy was die ou wat vir my Nieuweland toe gevat het toe ek 'n jong mannetjie was, so daai tipe goeters. Dit was baie spesiaal. Ja, maar daar's soveel ander. Ons het al 'n klomp Boxing Day toetse in Melbourne beleef as familie, is ons saam daar. Ja, dit is 'n groot voorreg daai tipe goeters.
En dan het ons 'n vraag, ek neem aan Gio, is dit u seun? Gio.
Ja.
En hy sit by die ander man, ek gaan sê vroeg.
Ja, die man het vandag gehoor dat hy alles deur, so hy's nou volwaardige onderwyser.
Oh, lekker man, great.
Well done.
Baie geluk. Maar as William Breintjies kan jy vir ons jou 103 vat 91, 92 en was dit jou eerste 100 tel? Onthou jy die 100 tel wat William van praat en het jy een weer na daai geslaan?
Op first class level was dit my enigste een. Ek het vroeër in daai seisoen 90 uitgekry. En ek het 7 en 8 vir Boland gebed, toe dog ek so 98, hier was my kans, ek gaan nie weer 'n kans kry nie. Maar toe kom hierdie game en in die eerste beurt, ek dink 50 not out gekry, dit was teen Warwickshire. Op baie stadium met Bob Wilmer vir beide Boland en Warwickshire afgerig en ons het pre-season games teen hulle gespeel. Ek wil net sê van daai 100-tal was my tweede 50 was 12 minute 12:04, so ja. Die kaptein het gesê ons moet verklaar, toe sê ek okay, let's go. So ja, ek het my tweede 50-tal nogal blitsvinnig geslaan. Was nie heeltemal Ivy de Villiers like nie, maar dit was lekker.
Maar as ek verkeerd William wat nou natuurlik vir ons terugvat 91, 92. Ek onthou jou as 'n baie beter bowler as 'n bowler.
Ja, ek was
Is dit so?
Ja, ek was 'n bowling all-rounder.
Maar kyk, 'n man wat 103 staan kan enige plek in die kolf word, weet.
Ja.
Miskien kon jy die betting hou van dit. Mens weet nooit.
Nee, ek was 'n bietjie 'n bottom man speler. Ek het my cover drivers het almal deur mid wicket gegaan, maar dit het die veldwerkers te mekaar gemaak. Ja, maar nee, ek is as 'n medium pacer was dit seker meer consistent geweest, ja. So ek het dan 6 vir 22 teen New Zealand gevat, maar dit was 'n baie moeilike pitch, hulle het die game gestop.
Wow. Ons het 'n vraag, Marais, ons het 'n vraag van Ease wat vra jou gunsteling cricketspeler, your favorite cricketer of all time, not necessarily a South African player, and I think he's referring to when you grew up as a player. Obviously, you have some favorites as an umpire as well. You're not going to just tell us that, but is daar enige ikone wat jy gehad het as jong
cricketspeler? Toe ek jong man was Pieter Kirsten my held geweest. Ek was baie gelukkig om later toe wel teen hom te speel. Maar Seiweg was my gunsteling speler van alle tye. Want Brender Seiweg het so 'n fantastiese attitude tot cricket gehad. Hy was tipe van seaball, hitball, vandag kry ek 0, môre kry ek 100, life goes on. Dit was sy houding teen opsigte van cricket. En elke keer as hy uit was en dan sien ek hom na die game, hy sê, "Oh, you missed a no ball. That ball was actually a no ball." Dan sê ek, "Man, go away."
Nice. Maar the most from your side, the most embarrassing moment for you as a former player or as an umpire? Is daar enetjie wat jy onthou wat jy sê, yes, nou het ek my naam in 'n plank geslaan?
The very first time I went to India was on exchange, so I went to do domestic cricket, and I learned a lesson that day. And ever since that day, I carried an extra pair of trousers because this game was live on television, and my trousers tore, and it was another 20 minutes to tea. So yeah, I couldn't really move much in the 20 minutes leading up to tea, and then the guy who was serving us tea in the change room, you had to fix my trousers during tea time. Yeah. So ever since that day, I carry another set of trousers.
Great stuff. Great stuff. But hey, soos you can see, we've got a lot of youngsters online, and you know, our talk show is all about, you know, inspiring people to become the best people they can be. Young people like myself and Alberic out there who perhaps want to venture into untried territory, whether it's cricket umpiring or just doing something out of the box. Do you have a short message for them out there listening in, tuning in? How did Marais go from, you know, a boykie from George to becoming one of our very favorite cricket umpires in the world?
Yeah, I mean, umpiring specific, I would say you obviously have to have a passion for cricket to go through the rigors of what an umpire has to. And the commitment and the sacrifice. So yeah, I would say don't start too young. Get a good playing background, and try and get as much knowledge about the law specifically, and try umpiring. It's really rewarding from an emotional point of view. But obviously, if you get to the top echelon, it can also be a career. And you get to travel and play golf at fantastic places like Muirfield in Scotland, etc. Yeah, so I've been very, very lucky, and hopefully I've got another 4 years left in me, and hopefully we can start traveling again soon as well, because that's the real enjoyment of it. Is obviously getting to places all over the world and enjoying those cultures and all those experiences. Yeah, so I've been very blessed. If it stops tomorrow, then yeah, it would have been a great ride.
There you have it. There you have it. Coming from Marais Erasmus, and Marais, from us at the Têkkel Talk Show, we want to thank you for representing South Africa at the highest level when it comes to umpiring. It's always great when you get those awards, and we feel proud as South Africans as well in 2016 and 2017. Undisputed and obviously uncontested, the best umpire in the world, and the nominees and the awards came in, and from our side, the Tekkel Talk Show, we want to say that you really make us proud as an umpire, standing in those big games. And schooling some of the biggest players in the world, when you raise that finger and say, nou moet jy jou goedjies pak en terug in die kamer toe loop, dan voel ons lekker. En ons wil vir jou alle voorspoed toewens. Ons wil vir jou sê, gaan goed, en mag jy van krag tot krag gaan, en weet dat daar's jong manne hier buitekant wat aspireer om nie net so oor die wêreld te vlieg nie, maar miskien ook om my groot hoed op te sit en ook eendag daar te staan en 'n lewe te maak uit umpiring. So van ons kant af, baie dankie vir jou tyd. Mag dit geweldig goed gaan, en mag jy sommer nog vele accolades jou kant toe kom, Marais.
Baie dankie, dit was baie lekker.
Sy Marais Erasmus, al die pad van die Swartland af, en nou natuurlik bekend as die ICC, een van die ICC se voorste umpires hier op die Têkkel Talk Show. En natuurlik vir diegene wat weet waar die Swartland is, Alberic, kom ons wys gou vir hulle 'n groot siekse site. Ek is nie seker of Marais self kan stokke swaai nie, en of hy die umpire gaan mis nie, maar hierdie komende Saterdag, die Têkkel Talk Show gaan regstreeks daar wees. 8 spanne met 'n paar groot name gaan probeer op die balletjie uit Mamasbury tot binne in Pesantekraal te slaan. En daar sê ons voorspel sommer groot mee name wat gaan opwees. So vir die van gene wat wil kom inloer, 'n baan en R20 by die hek kry jou in, en jy gaan manne soos Louis Koen en vele ander in aksie sien by die Hoërskool Swartland se siekse saai tournament. Met dit dan bring ons aan die einde van nog 'n episode, maar weer eens baie dankie. En Alberic, my co-presenter as always was jou Afrikaans bietjie hakkentak, maar jou Engels was goed. En
you learn as you go along.
Ja, sê. Maar van ons kant af vir die Têkkel Talk Show weer eens dankie en vir almal aanlyn wat elke donderdag gelowig inskakel. Ons praat binnekort weer volgende donderdag met 'n lekker gas. So, van ons kant af 'n goeie nag, geniet die sokker en vir die Manchester United en Arsenal supporters van my kant af mag julle gelyk op uitslag hê. Têkkel Talk Show, Facebook, Twitter en natuurlik YouTube. Tot volgende donderdag. Goed gaan.